we got no oil pressure. Today, it's time to finally address and fix this little bit of a minor issue with my indicator, my gauge cluster. One of the gauges seems to be a bit on the fritz. And when I called the manufacturer about it, well, they kind of gave me a simple explanation, and they might have pointed out over the phone, which by the way, it's not easy to do an over the phone diagnosis for car issues, but this guy seemed to be on top of it. And as I can recall, I think he's right. So, it's this oil pressure gauge. Give it a sec. Because whenever it's got a lot of pressure, it's good. It's fine. Which somehow it's got continuity, I guess, with the gauge and how it reads. But whenever it warms up and pressure kind of drops, you'll notice that it just pegs to 0 every once in a while. But I'll be right back when the car's warmed up. Almost there. You can kind of see the beginning of the symptom I'm talking about. So that needle should be a constant pressure. Right now we're still trying to get it to warm up, but yeah, you're gonna see the idea. So I got some of the passengers see this gauge and they're like, bro, why did we drop to 0 psi at the straight light? You know, and like, trust me, we have oil pressure. We're not down on oil pressure. I know my car, if we did lose oil pressure, trust me, we're not getting very far. The engine's gonna seize up. However, this indicator, it doesn't build a lot of confidence. There we go. There's probably where it's happening the most, right? It's engine coolant temp is recorded at about 190 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and you can just see, like, yeah, we should have somewhere between 20-30 psi, but for some odd reason, when the pressure's low and the flow is kind of at a lower speed, it just zeroes out on you. Come on, do it again for us. Let's give it a bump. You see? Like, that's like, what the heck? But if I give it any type of throttle and the flow increases, I feel like there's an electrical connection through the oil, maybe perhaps in minerals or some sort of like additives that are in the oil that helps to send that, you know, to send the signal, right? To get a complete signal. When we go back to idle, boom, back to dead hot 0. Now that I've gotten the car good and hot, let me go ahead and roll up the ramps, pick it up, so that we can go ahead and get to the oil pressure sending unit on the engine, and let's see if we can't verify that what I was told on the phone is going to be the solution. I'm gonna let you guys know on that solution. Just hang in there. All right, nice and toasty. So let's get underneath the car. That little bell looking thing right there in the middle of the screen, that is the pressure sensor. So what we need to do is get the wire off. Also, something I've observed while under here, looks like power steering is having a hard time containing itself. So we'll have to pretty soon probably do a power steering pump rebuild. No need to watch me struggle get this off, but this right here is a little adapter that goes into the engine block, or actually I think the oil filter housing. So as you can see, we have Teflon on the threads, and then on the sending unit there's also some more Teflon. That is the culprit at why that electrical connection's on the frets. So we're going to go ahead, do ourselves a favor, remove the Teflon, and supposedly that will clear things up. And this is a tapered thread, so this is supposed to seal. And I don't know why I was thinking differently, but see if I can't find. All right. So let's go ahead and get these two back on the car. Get these two back on the car, and let's see if our issue has been resolved. So, almost painless process, but now we got that guy on. There's no Teflon, and the sensor's all hooked up. So let's go crank this thing up and see if that solved the issue. Also, keep in mind, you will need a drip pan because oil does come out. Not a lot, some. You can see probably over there, I spilled a little. All right. Well, it is better, but it still kind of doesn't. So I have a few thoughts, but I will. It does seem better. Like it doesn't drop and stay at zero as often, but it fluttering like that, I'm wondering if it's just hypersensitive, or not hypersensitive. I'm just wondering if maybe the gauge is super sensitive to the pressure to give you a very, very quick reading, I guess you could say. And but the drop to like a zero or past zero like that's got to be something of a connection, a hiccup on how the sensor operates. So I don't know. This has me scratch my head on why it does that drop like that. All right, and then curl it back under here. Look at that, no oil leak. Perfect. So we're not leaking any oil from the sensor without the Teflon. So I think we're going to leave it as is. Go ahead and clean up, and maybe somebody down below can give me insight as why my gauge does that. Or do you think it's maybe the location of the sensor? You know, right here on this housing, maybe that plays a part to it. So we follow the advice from the gauge manufacturer to remove the Teflon to ensure that there's a nice proper ground with the sensor being connected to the engine block where it was. Turns out that didn't do it. So we still get a read on pressure. So there still is pressure. However, it's still got that fluttering down to past zero, almost like it's completely disconnected or just got a hard ground, because that's kind of how that sensor operates. I believe it's something to do with the resistance, I think, possibly. Anyways, but that's how it gets, understands. There's a little diaphragm inside that little bulb or bell that pushes in and out based on the pressure, and it gets closer and tighter, closer, so that it'll provide a pressure signal based on, I suppose, the resistance. Anyways, I'm not an electrician. I probably got that all wrong. Maybe it's one of the other deals, but what I can tell you is removing the Teflon, it does ensure a good ground, but that is not what's causing the issue. So maybe we're still on the hunt. Perhaps one of you guys can comment down below what you think it is, because it would be nice. It's not required, because like I said earlier, if we have no oil pressure, the engine's not going to run for very much longer. I am pretty on top of the maintenance for the car, being that we race it. So oil changes are very frequent, probably 3,000 miles or sooner, because actually we're probably changing oil on an event to event basis. So very frequent oil changes. We're on top of having enough oil and good fresh quality oil. So the gauge cluster, it's just kind of there for show, I guess. So let it work every now and then. Anyways, yeah. If someone has insight as to what's going on, be my guest to educate me, because I don't really know. Now, on this video, please comment down below, help me out. And if it's your first time here, why don't you think of subscribing, and I will see you guys later, or on the next one. Hopefully with oil pressure.